did a video last week, as some of you will know, about the interview between Amal Rajan and Piers Morgan that got quite a lot of interest, relatively speaking. And if you've not seen it, I'd encourage you to. It's an interesting conversation that concluded with this kind of crescendo of what is fascism? Are we living in a fascist world? There are quite a few comments on the post. I'd encourage you to check it out. There may be a need for clarity on terms and semantics because, of course, fascism may have one definition in one camp and another in another. So apart from the kind of potential for that, it raised a bit of interest. I think there was obviously, agree, disagree, that kind of thing, as is always the case. But there's one comment in particular from a person called Rawhead Rex. Rawhead, thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your YouTube handle. Which is anonymous, and I'm going to say something about that in just a minute. His comment, assuming it's a him, was interesting to me because it was a thought that was already in my head. If you ever do create videos or communicate publicly, and I can only assume that Rawhead Rex doesn't because he has 0 videos on his account, you'll know that quite often, as you're communicating something that you believe to be not just from a personal perspective in terms of a kind of subjective response to something, but this is what you believe to be objectively true. As you do that, as I do that often, I hear in my head the naysayers, I hear the objection, the pushback, I hear the counter argument. And when I read Rawhead Rex's comment, it was confirmation that I just needed to say something about this because it was already, as I say, it was already in my head. Here's the comment. This is Rawhead Rex in all of his glory. To me, in response to my video about fascist Britain. If you don't want to watch the TV show, and by the way, the TV show in question is on BBC One. It's coming up. I think if it's not started already, it will be in the next week or two. I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically a bunch of homosexual men, and the program revolves around them kissing as lovers should, and the program starts there, and from what I can tell is about that. Anyway, that's the program he's referring to. If you don't want to watch the TV show, nobody is forcing you, really. It is there for those who want to watch it. No, it's not. I'm going to do that. This is what I'm going to do. As I read this comment, I'm going to respond to it, and that will be the video, and that will be that. If you don't want to watch the TV show, nobody is forcing you. Well, that's the first error, Rawhead Rex. The very fact that my wife and I have to constantly turn the TV over from seeing the trailer, which includes homosexual men kissing passionately, is proof that you're wrong. Of course we have to watch it. This is the point. We're exposed to this level of, in my view, immoral, soft pornography. It's not a question of if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. Let those who want to watch it, because it's there all the time. Have you not thought or considered the fact that the trailer of this program is on at before 9 p.m, the Watershed, or it used to be, that you'll have children watching this? Have you not thought about that? Well, it's obvious that you've not thought about that because you're operating, your whole accusation of hypocrisy is based on that. That very first sentence reveals the level of your thoughts. If you don't want to watch a TV show, no one's forcing you to. That's obviously and manifestly incorrect. It's wrong. It's there for those who want to watch it. Okay, well, let's take that sentence. Does the fact that there are people who want to watch it, does that somehow legitimize the fact that it's there to be watched? You could say that about anything, couldn't you? There will be people who want to watch programs on polygamy, which is why there's a program presumably coming on Channel 4 in the next wee while about that as well. But take it to an extreme. If you were to go back 50 years, would it have even been imaginable that there would have been programs on mainstream, potentially pre-Watershed TV about homosexuality passionate kissing homosexuality. We're not talking about defending the rights of every human being. We're talking about a sexualized form of homosexuality, let alone polygamy. So you could take that view to an extreme and have something to cater for every want, everything that somebody would want to watch. Maybe there are paedophiles. So do we have programs for paedophiles? And do we say in the same way that Rawhead Rex does that, well, if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. It's not for you, Nick. It's just for the paedophiles. See the level of thinking? I doubt very much the Rawhead Rex will. I just expect this will either be ignored or will result in a tirade of millennial outrage, tarted up to be composed and unmoved. He goes on to say, it will succeed or fail based mainly upon the viewing figures. What's a success or a failure of this based on? Just the number of people that watch it? Is that how we legitimize or deem something to be successful or unsuccessful? On the one hand, so this is where he gets to the accusation of my being hypocritical. On the one hand, you complain about fascism because people don't agree with your homophobic opinions. Let me pause. This is the same attitude as the comment that the video itself showcased about Maria. Because I have a contrary opinion to Rawhead or to Maria or anybody else who thinks that homosexuality is absolutely fine from a moral point of view, that somehow I'm an archaic 1950s dinosaur and that I'm automatically hateful. Notice that. And again, this is the level of thinking of this person, that because I don't agree that homosexuality, apart from altogether the sexualized nature of it, that because I don't agree that homosexuality from a you could say a religious perspective, but that's a whole separate conversation as to what is religion. But even if it was religious, say if I was a Muslim, would you deem me immediately as being hateful? This is something that you need to think about. Does it mean that because I disagree with something as fundamental as the union of one man and one woman, we could talk about marriage, am I hateful because I don't agree that marriage can be anything other than between one man and one woman for life, till death us do part? Does that make me hateful? Does it make me hateful to say that love is not love, only God is love? In other words, we don't define love. God is love. He's not the definition of love. He is love. I understand and appreciate that if you're listening to this and you're an atheist or a secularized unbeliever who does never go to church, never read the Bible, doesn't have any kind of concept of the spiritual, this will be very foreign to you. But nonetheless, to be able to say, okay, this person doesn't agree with that on a moral point of view, but that doesn't automatically make Nick Frank somebody that hates homosexual people, which is what the accusation is. And I hope that that level of thinking will, for other people watching this, will reveal and betray the overall claims, which are that I'm a homophobe, a fascist, and a hypocrite. On the one hand, you complain about fascism because people don't agree with your homophobic opinions. Opinions, there's a separate thing, isn't there? There is a difference between opinion and conviction. It's a separate video perhaps, but opinion makes it sound as though this is all subjective. And it's not. And then on the other hand, you want to stop people from watching a TV show because you don't like it. If you want to be left free to voice your opinions unfettered by the morality of others, then you should also be prepared to let others do as they wish. Hypocrite much. I'm going to just say this and then close. Apart from the other aspects of Rawhead Rex's comment that I've addressed, and you can disagree with me if you want, if you think that me disagreeing with homosexuality or any other socio-cultural ill of our time makes me automatically hateful, that's up to you. But I can only assure you that I have nothing personally against homosexual people. I disagree with this program that's being discussed, because even if it wasn't homosexual, I would have a major issue with it for the exact same reason, which proves that I don't hate gay people. I hate sin. I hate anything that is contrary to the knowledge of God. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and that nobody comes to the Father except by me. If you've got half a brain, you will have given some thought to what happens after you die. You might die tomorrow. Is your life secure with the thought of, well, there's no eternity, there's no consequence? Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And that's why he was accused of being a hater. That's why he was crucified by the Jews who hated him from being a blasphemer. But that's the truth. Sometimes the truth does get you killed. I want to just say this. Why is it that I'm not a hypocrite? Because my call to this filth being on the TV, why is that different to having the unfettered access that Rawhead Rex is claiming or calling for? Well, I'd say it's this. It's the answer to it is because why am I not hypocritical? Why? It's for the same reason that I'm not hateful. Either Jesus was who he said he was, or he wasn't. The only way that I would be hypocritical is if Jesus was in fact not God. Was in fact if Jesus was not raised from the dead. In other words, that my fundamental basis for what is moral and not moral was wrong. And so, yeah, if Jesus didn't die, if he didn't rise from the dead, if he is not indeed the Son of God, and if he is indeed not coming again, if he is not the only way to the Father, then yeah, I'm a hypocrite. Yes, I'm probably hateful. But the fact that Jesus alone is the one who defines love, God alone is love, he gives the standard, the moral standard. Not me. This isn't subjective. This is objective reality. And based on the word of God. And Rawhead Rex, you won't probably have any credence in your mind for the word of God, for the Bible. But I do. Historicity tells me something. It's a separate video and I've done plenty of them. But this is the point. I'm not hypocritical, mate, because I believe in an objective moral truth. You don't. You would be quite happy, presumably, for programs about paedophilia or polygamy or incest or any other social ill to come along, just as long as there's an audience for it. It all culminates in Jesus Christ. You either believe him or you don't. If you do, you go along with what he says. If you don't, if you cast him off, then you can believe what you want and you can have any moral standard that you want, including soft pornographic programs about homosexual men on primetime TV when children are able to watch it, or anyone else is able to watch it. So you don't become hypocritical unless what you're claiming fundamentally about morality is true. So either Jesus is true or he's not. And so part of this thing of having your fundamental way of thinking or worldview betrayed by the kinds of things that you say, the other thing that I think does that and betrays a position, if you can call it that, is this thing on YouTube where men, like in the pubs, if you go into a pub and you get drunk and you end up being obnoxious, you go outside and you have a fight, don't you? Everybody knows who you are, what your name is, that kind of thing. On YouTube, you have this thing where, and I know it's guys and girls do this, but guys particularly, I'm not a man, so I'm thinking like a man and I'm talking to men. If you have like a YouTube account and you don't produce videos, you don't even have the courage to put your name on your handle, and all you do is either, I suppose, watch videos for entertainment, you know, football videos, whatever it is, or you go along to other videos that are more kind of polemic and you just leave contrary troll-like comments. And you might think, well, it's not trolling. If that's trolling, then you're in a world of trouble, Nick. But the whole thing of just kind of coming on with an aggro, accusatory tone, and you don't even have your own name. And you're dealing with people like me, who not only has his name front and centre, but who has got hundreds of videos and easy ways of being contacted or reported, if you want to do that. It's just pathetic. And I'd say that to you, mate, Rawhead Rex. You're coming onto a video, you don't even have your own name, unless that is your name, but you're using YouTube to express your opinion without base or without an explanation of what your conviction is based on, in such an anonymous, kind of cowardly way. Set up a YouTube channel. This is what I said to you in the comments. Why don't you set up a YouTube channel with your name and with a clear USP, a clear, these are my colours nailed to the mask. This is what I think. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I would die for, if you would. And conduct your life like that, rather than lurking around in the shadows of YouTube without your name and just leaving these comments and dropping these bombs, and there not being any way of fighting outside a pub. It doesn't have to be about fighting, but it should be about respect.